Thank you for staying with us. Now, earlier we were talking about the Nigeria Labour Congress and how they have announced an indefinite strike starting December 1st, 2024 in states where the new 70,000 naira minimum wage has not been fully implemented. And we were speaking to our guest, comrade Amechi Asugwuni, and he was speaking to us on the significance of the NLC's decision to call for a nationwide strike, on that specific date. And we asked how the strike actually reflects the broader state of labor relations in Nigeria today. Thank you for reconnecting with us, comrade. And please go ahead with your answer.
So thank you. So I think the position is very clear. In the rule of engagement of labor and even the international standard, procedure must have an end of implementation, and whereby letters have been written to employers to engage the right thing in terms of implementing the minimum wage as a law. Therefore, the 14th state is as good as they have failed on their part. So NLC reserved the right to issue directive in this regard. What is strike action? Strike action does not mean anything evil. It means change of strategy to draw attention of employer. So workers are advised in the order of that circular to withdraw their services from 1st of December 2024. That implies that if any state that also between now and 1st of December does anything within the law to show effort to implementing the minimum wage, such state will be exempted. So they have given a very big room to enable state meet with their organs of the labor in terms of state leadership of NLC at the state level, meeting with them to draw a timetable, define a very clear modality for implementation. I think the action will not affect such states. Some states have also gone ahead to pronounce higher wage than 70,000.
Of course.
So such is a plus, and I believe is going to help both Nigerian workers and the economy itself to survive going forward.
Comrade,
the
now,
directive is in line with the rules.
The NLC has actually also expressed frustration over the delay in implementing the 2024 National Minimum Wage Act. And we do not see the federal government expressing such delays when it comes to increasing salaries of judicial workers and the rest. Now, why do you think that some state governments, are refusing to fully comply with the new wage law despite the legal and moral imperatives to do so?
I think it has become attitudinal in this country that state government don't prioritize workers' wage. It is not the first time, it's not the second time, and until we change leadership of this nature, we'll continue to have a repeat of this attitude. State government prioritize what they consider as their regular and patterned spending. And when they see workers' wage as a burden, because they are not using productivity measure to harness some of these things. So I tell you, this attitude of state government to negate workers' welfare did not start today. And that is why you need to enforce strike action before you could compare a state government to recognize that 30,000 is overdue for review. Even when it has been reviewed to 70, they are still seeing it as higher wage. None of their appointees earn 70,000 of the state governors. None of their aides earn 70,000, and they pay them on a regular basis. But anytime you tell them that the ordinary worker that used to earn 30 will now earn 70, even when bag of rice is now 100 and something thousand, they are still adamant to this. So I think the earlier they enforce this strike action, the better for those states, because the notice and the action itself will be serving two purposes. One is to show that you are unable to pay minimum wage. Another is to send a circular and a very strong message to the people of those states that a governor that cannot pay attention to workers' welfare does not also have anything to offer for the entire state. And as such, if you cannot prioritize workers' wage as something important, it means you are working for your pocket. And such governor, 2027, become a threat for its future ambition. So I believe this attitude can only be set right if we enforce this action to be loud enough.
All right, now, Joe Ajaero also mentioned that millions of Nigerians are actually facing extreme economic hardship. How do you assess the impact of the rise in inflation and unemployment on the working class population? And, what are the main drivers of this particular crisis?
Yes, from the point of economics, one will view that what is happening to Nigeria, it boils down to failure on the part of government, because governance is about right application to correct the wrong. It doesn't matter what we have inherited as government or rather what they inherited as government. Inability of government to take the first step first has also affected. This problem started from the removal of fuel subsidy. The action to remove fuel subsidy without any concrete plan on ground to remedy the consequence has landed us where we are. And every attempt to borrow to solve it leave Nigeria to deepen itself into servicing those loans. So it appears you are borrowing to service, and therefore you lack reserve to attend to other needs of Nigeria that will eventually make a surplusity that will eventually bring down the price. If government don't participate in the production of goods and services or playing their major role to stabilize the economy in such that participants, actors of industry who want to now participate will have a minimized cost of electricity for production. Otherwise, you cannot even encourage anybody to go for made in Nigeria.
Okay, but what
the question
about,
is,
what
how
about the
come
call
that made in Nigeria goods are even higher than the one we import?
What about
because the cost of production here
if you can hear me, what about
reasonable.
the call for, a comprehensive social protection policy to shield Nigerians, from poverty? What would you recommend the federal government to do, or even address? How would they address the growing destitution?
There is no recommendation that is not going to cost government money. And therefore, the first thing is to minimize cost. How would government try to demonstrate leadership? By employing financial discipline in cutting down cost of governance in such a way that we are going to participate, diversify to industry. Because there's no two ways. Governing is a going concern. And therefore, government will be rightly advised to apply economic indices of investing in industrializing this country. There is no way you can cure unemployment if you don't make provision for industries to open up and get our people to work. Therefore, government must pay attention to private sector and even the public sector. We must begin to utilize all the money we are investing in agriculture. How come the unemployment rise is still going up? So government must be seen to be creating a schedule that shows physical action, because if all sectors will be active, I tell you, Nigeria has the capacity to eliminate unemployment reasonably. But if we don't industrialize, if we don't believe in production, if we continue to consume, there is no solution to the economic quagmire that we face today. Therefore, production is the key. And the only way to promote it is for government to participate, assist those investors, get them involved, subsidize the right thing, which is electricity, and let everything produced in Nigeria be cheap, so that salaries are also moderated. Who do you think that earn 70,000 naira as a wage, as an ordinary worker, $70,000 in USA? They don't. So whatever you pay there is enough, because the goods they sell and the services they offer is within the bare minimum. You can't achieve that in Nigeria because everything is imported, and therefore we don't have power to control prices of what we consume. It's very unfortunate.
All right, comrade. Now, the NLC has also condemned the withholding of Rivers State's federal revenue, calling it politically motivated. How do you see this development affecting the state's workers, and what do you think it reveals about the relationship between the state and the federal government in Nigeria?
It's unfortunate because the matter is before the court of law, and from my background as a consultant and even as an expert in trade union issues, I should be seen to talk less on issues before the court. But I tell you, every decision, whether judgment or otherwise, has its own effect on the people. And therefore, there is no way you can have political instability that the people of the state will not suffer it. I think the application of wisdom will better solve Rivers' problem than even the court of law. Because I tell you, justice to any man, a greedy man does not believe that justice is for the people. Justice becomes justice when they end their personal interests. But I tell you, in this case, it's more than the mouth can say. And I advise that let the river people know that if Rivers is boiling against their interests, is boiling against their future, and the earlier they put their self-interest aside and consider the dividend of democracy for the people of Rivers State, the better for them. And I believe the court of law will consider the people and not individual.
Okay. Now, just before we wrap up, Comrade, you've been an advocate, for workers' rights for many years. In your experience, how effective has the NLC been, especially enforcing government compliance, with labor laws? And, what do you think that, what strategy do you think is the most effective in ensuring the full implementation of the 2024 National Minimum Wage Act?
I think labor should just be very strong in its position. I have also heard Nigerians coming to say, this is not the first time we're hearing this. But I tell you, the best NSC or labor, organized labor can do is what they are doing in terms of enforcing action to compare the employers to comply to the law. But Nigerians should also differentiate between labor issues and the national and economy issues that affect the general people of the country, such that if you go to other nations, when people are aggrieved, when people are angry over particular policies, you see the expression from the street, from the people. But this is where Nigerians will want labor to engage in a strike so that they can stay at home to sleep. So when you call for protests that affect the ordinary Nigeria, they will hardly come out to still join the same NLC who has provided a platform for the betterment of the people. So I believe Nigerians should know that whatever that is going wrong today in the hand of misgovernance will eventually affect their future. Look at the example is the electronic voting system that was attempted, and the transmission of results became difficult in the presidential election. Till today, very soon, 2 years gone into this administration, nobody is saying anything about calling on National Assembly to enforce that this very law is put in place to checkmate our democracy. So when you're actually blaming government for certain things, you blame them because the system that brought them to power reasonably was transparent enough. I think some of us will be advocating to tell Nigerians that if there's any significant protest that is needed, it is the one that will be carried out to National Assembly to call them to see how they can put this law to place. Electronically, we can know our result even before INEC make comment.
Okay.
And then, whether we like it or not, labor should be encouraged to continue to enforce their rights, and that will also promote democracy in the field of work.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Comrade Amechi Asugwuni, former Deputy President, Nigeria Labour Congress, for your time and also for your thoughts on this topic.
That's my pleasure. Thank you.